My brother-in-law slammed a heavy leather briefcase onto my parents' dining table and popped the brass latches. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the quiet room. He grinned, sweat shining on his forehead, and spun the case around for us to see. Cash. Stacks of it, wrapped in thick rubber bands. 50,000, Derek announced, his voice trembling with adrenaline. And that's just the deposit. The rest hits the account on Friday. I told you I'd flip the cabin. I told you. My sister Mia let out a scream that was half laugh, half sob, and threw her arms around his neck. Oh my God, Derek! I can't believe it! My mother was clutching her chest, looking between the money and Derek like he was the Messiah returned in a cheap suit. I knew it, she breathed. I knew you'd turn it around. I just sat there at the end of the table, gripping my steak knife a little too hard. The room was spinning with celebration, champagne corks popping, congratulations flying. But my blood had turned to ice, because the cabin Derek had just sold, the one he claimed to have renovated and flipped for a massive profit, it wasn't his, it wasn't my parents', it was mine. I had bought it 4 years ago at a foreclosure auction. I held the deed. I paid the property taxes. I paid the insurance. And I knew for a fact that the locks had been changed yesterday by me because I had tenants moving in next month. Derek wasn't just a liar. He was selling property he didn't own to people who paid in $50,000 cash. And judging by the look of those bills old, worn, non-sequential, he hadn't sold it to a bank or a nice young couple. He had sold it to someone dangerous. I looked at Mia. She was crying, actually crying tears of relief. She looked at me, her eyes shining. Bruce, can you believe it? We can finally pay off the credit cards. We can start over. I opened my mouth to speak, to scream that her husband was a fraud, but Derek locked eyes with me. There was a challenge in them, a smug, arrogant dare. Go ahead, his look said. Ruin this moment. Break her heart. I closed my mouth. I took a sip of my wine. It tasted like vinegar. If I spoke now, it was just a family dispute. He'd spin it. He'd say I was jealous. He'd say we were partners and I was trying to cut him out. No. I needed more than words. I needed to bury him. That's incredible, Derek, I said, my voice dead calm. Who's the buyer? Derek's grin faltered for a fraction of a second, then widened. Private investor, guy from the city, wants a quiet getaway, doesn't care about the price, just wants the location. Cash deposit? I nodded at the briefcase. Unusual for a real estate deal. He wanted to lock it in, Derek said quickly, snapping the briefcase shut. Market's hot, Bruce. You gotta move fast. You wouldn't understand. You're too careful. My father laughed, clapping Derek on the shoulder. Bruce could learn a thing or two about risk, eh? This is how you build wealth, son. Action. I forced a smile. Clearly. I pulled my phone out under the table and opened my security app. I had installed 4 hidden cameras at the cabin 2 weeks ago, mostly to keep an eye on the wildlife and check for storm damage. I scrolled back the timeline. There it was. Tuesday, 2 days ago. Derek's truck pulling into the driveway. He didn't have a key, so how did he get in? I watched on the tiny screen as he walked around the perimeter with a heavy-set man in a black leather jacket. They didn't go inside. They peered through the windows. Derek was gesturing wildly, pointing at the lake, the roof, selling the dream. The man looked unimpressed, stone-faced. Then, the man handed Derek a thick envelope, the briefcase contents. This wasn't a sale. This was a scam. Derek had taken money for a house he couldn't get into, promised a closing date he couldn't meet, and was now spending the cash before the ink was even dry on whatever fake contract he'd drawn up. I put the phone away. When's closing? I asked. Friday, Derek said, popping a piece of shrimp into his mouth. Quick turnaround. He wants the keys by the weekend. Friday. That gave me 4 days. 4 days to save my property, protect my sister, and make sure Derek faced the kind of consequences that didn't involve a slap on the wrist. I stood up. I have to head out. Early meeting? Leaving already? Mia looked disappointed. We're celebrating. I'm not feeling great, I lied. Congrats, Derek. Really, it's impressive. I walked out into the cool night air, my heart hammering against my ribs. As soon as I was in my car, I didn't drive home. I drove straight to the cabin. It was an hour north, deep in the woods. I needed to see if he'd done any physical damage, and I needed to secure the perimeter. When I arrived, the moon was high, casting long shadows across the driveway. I checked the doors, locked. The windows were intact. He really hadn't been able to get inside. He had sold the idea of the house. I sat on the hood of my car and called my lawyer, Sarah. It was 10 p.m. She didn't pick up. I texted her, urgent, fraud involving the cabin, need to file an injunction or police report ASAP, call me. Then I called the number I had for the local sheriff's deputy, a guy I'd gone to high school with. Mike, I said when he answered, voice groggy. Bruce, is everything okay? No, listen, if anyone tries to access my property on Lake Drive this week, anyone who isn't me, I need you to arrest them for trespassing, immediately. What's going on? My brother-in-law is trying to sell my house, without me knowing. Mike paused. Selling it? How? I don't know the details yet, but he took a $50,000 deposit today. He's promising possession on Friday. Jesus, Mike breathed. That's grand larceny and fraud. Yeah, I'm going to let him try to close the deal. I want him to sign the papers. I want him to incriminate himself so deeply he can never talk his way out of it. Bruce, that's dangerous. If he's dealing with guys who pay cash, I know. Just be ready on Friday. I spent the next day, Tuesday, digging. I took the day off work. I'm a forensic accountant, something my family finds boring, so they never ask about it, which means tracking money and lies is literally my job. I pulled Derek's public records. It was a bloodbath. 3 maxed out credit cards, a lien on his truck, and a gambling debt lawsuit from a casino in Atlantic City that was 2 months old. He was drowning. The $50,000 wasn't profit. It was a life preserver. I called Mia around noon. Hey, she sounded chirpy, happy. It broke my heart. We're looking at new cars. Derek says his truck is too old for a developer image. Mia, stop, I said, trying to keep my voice gentle. Don't spend a dime of that money. What? Why? Bruce, stop being such a buzzkill. I'm serious. Has he deposited it yet? He's at the bank right now. Listen to me. Do not sign anything. Do not co-sign for a car. Just wait until Friday. Why are you being like this? Her voice cracked. You can't stand that he's finally successful. You've always looked down on him. I don't look down on him, Mia. I'm worried about you. Well, don't be. We're rich. Or we will be on Friday. He's getting another $450,000 at closing. Who is the buyer, Mia? Did you see a name? I don't know, some LLC. Apex Holdings or something. Look, I gotta go. We're meeting the dealer. She hung up. Apex Holdings. I ran a search. Shell company, registered 3 weeks ago. Registered agent was a lawyer known for representing, let's say, off-book lending organizations. Loan sharks. Derek hadn't found an investor. He'd found a shark. And he was selling my house to pay off a debt, hoping he could take the cash and run before anyone realized the deed was fake. Wednesday was the setup. I drove to the county clerk's office. I needed a certified copy of my deed, fresh and stamped. I also pulled the tax records. I wanted a paper trail so thick it could stop a bullet. Then I went to the cabin. I printed out a sign. Property of Bruce Vance. No trespassing. Video surveillance in use. I didn't hang it up yet. I left it inside the front door. I was checking the window latches when a black SUV rolled slowly down the driveway. My pulse spiked. It was the same car from the video. I stepped out onto the porch, locking the door behind me. The window rolled down. The guy in the leather jacket looked at me. He had a scar running through his eyebrow, and eyes dead as a shark's. Can I help you? I asked. Who are you? Voice like gravel. I'm the owner, I said. Can I help you? The guy stared at me. He didn't look confused. He looked angry. Owner? Derek said the place was empty. Derek isn't the owner, I said. I am Bruce Vance. The guy looked at a clipboard on his passenger seat, then back at me. Derek told us he was handling the estate sale, said he had power of attorney. He lied, I said. There is no estate. I bought this place 4 years ago. It's not for sale. The guy turned off the engine. The silence of the woods was heavy. He got out of the car. He was big. He took 50 large from me on Monday, the man said. Said we close Friday. He scammed you, I said, keeping my distance. He doesn't have the deed. He doesn't have the keys. He doesn't have the right to sell. The man walked up the steps. I didn't flinch, though every instinct screamed to run. He stopped 2 feet from me. You got proof? He asked. I pulled the certified deed from my jacket pocket. Stamped this morning. He took it, read it, checked the date, checked my ID when I offered it. He handed it back. His face didn't change, but the air around him got colder. Friday, huh? That's what he said. He's bringing the keys to the title company in town, 2 p.m. There is no title company, I said. He probably forged the title docs too. The man let out a short, humorless laugh. You're smart? Smarter than him? He looked at the cabin. Nice place. Shame. He turned back to his car. Don't tell him you saw me. I won't. Friday, he repeated. Be there if you want to see a show. He drove off. I sank onto the porch steps, shaking. That wasn't a businessman. That was a kneecap breaker. Derek had stolen $50,000 from the mob. Thursday. The calm before the storm. My parents called me. They were planning a victory dinner for Friday night at the best steakhouse in town. Derek is paying, my dad cheered. He insisted. I'll be there, I said. But I might be a little late. I have to stop by the cabin. Oh, Bruce, my mom sighed. Don't go up there pouting. Be happy for your sister. I am doing this for my sister, Mom, I said. You have no idea. I spent Thursday night preparing the file, the text messages Mia had sent me about the new car, the public records of Derek's debts, the video footage of him trespassing, the certified deed. I called Detective Miller, a contact my lawyer gave me who worked in white-collar fraud. If he signs the closing documents, Miller told me, that's the felony. Attempted sale isn't enough. We need him to sign the bill of sale and accept the funds. He already accepted the deposit. That's theft. But if you want him away for a long time, let him sign the closing papers. That's real estate fraud, forgery, grand larceny, the trifecta. Okay, I said. 2 p.m. Friday. Friday, the sky was gray and heavy. I met Mike, the deputy, at the edge of town. You sure about this? He asked. I'm sure. The buyer is going to be at the old law office on Main. Derek rented a conference room there for the day to make it look legit. I arrived at the office building at 1:50 p.m. I parked across the street. I saw Derek's new truck brand new, dealer tag still on it, parked out front. Mia was in the passenger seat, applying lipstick in the mirror. She didn't know. He had dragged her here to witness his triumph. I felt sick. I watched the man in the leather jacket walk in, carrying a different briefcase. This one looked slimmer. At 2:05 p.m., I walked in. I pushed open the glass doors of the conference room. Derek was at the head of the table. He had a pen in his hand. Papers were spread everywhere. The man in the leather jacket, let's call him Mr. Shark, was sitting opposite him, looking bored. A notary I didn't recognize was stamping something. Mia was sitting in the corner, holding a glass of water, looking nervous, but excited. Stop, I said. Derek's head snapped up. Bruce, what the hell are you doing here? Mia jumped up. Bruce, you can't just barge in. I'm here to stop you from going to prison, Derek, I said, walking to the table. Get out. Derek stood up, face turning red. This is a private meeting. We're closing. You're not closing anything, I said. I threw the folder onto the table. It slid across the mahogany surface and hit Derek's hand. Because you don't own the house. Derek laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound. He's jealous, he told Mr. Shark. Ignore him. He's always been jealous. Open the folder, Derek, I said. Mr. Shark didn't move. He just watched. Derek ignored the folder. He looked at Mr. Shark. Let's just sign. I have the deed right here. He held up a piece of paper. That's a forgery, I said. And a bad one. Look at the font on the county seal. It's Arial. The county uses Times New Roman. Mia walked over, confused. What are you talking about? Bruce, Grandma left the house to the family. No, Mia, I said, turning to her. Grandma lost the house. It was foreclosed on 4 years ago. I bought it from the bank. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to embarrass Mom and Dad about Grandma's finances. Mia froze. You bought it? Yes, it's in my name, solely. Derek slammed his hand on the table. Liar! He's lying! I have the paperwork. Sign it then, Mr. Shark said. His voice was soft, terrifying. If you own it, sign the paper. Take the money. He tapped the slim briefcase. Derek looked at the pen. He looked at me. He looked at the money. Desperation rolled off him in waves. He grabbed the pen. I'm signing, he snarled, and then I'm suing you for slander. He put the pen to the paper. Derek, don't! Mia screamed. He signed. He signed his name with a flourish. Done. It's yours. He reached for the briefcase. Mr. Shark put his hand over the briefcase. Thank you. Then the door opened behind me. Detective Miller and 2 uniformed officers walked in. Mike was with them. Derek Vance? Miller asked. Derek froze. His hand was still on the briefcase. Who are you? Detective Miller. You're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and grand larceny. What? No! Derek scrambled back, knocking his chair over. This is a setup. He set me up. He pointed at me. You just signed a bill of sale for a property you don't own, Miller said, walking over and cuffing him, in front of witnesses and a police officer. I looked at Mr. Shark. He winked at me. "Wait!" Derek screamed as they hauled him up. "I have the deposit. I can give it back." "You spent it," I said quietly. "On the truck outside, and the rest has gone to the casino, isn't it?" Mia let out a wail that tore through the room. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Derek was fighting now, thrashing. "Mia! Mia, tell them! It's our house! Bruce stole it! He stole it from us!" They dragged him out. The notary was hurriedly packing her bag, looking terrified. Mr. Shark stood up. He picked up his briefcase. He looked at me. "Pleasure doing business, Bruce." "You're not a cop," I said. "Nope, but I hate liars." He walked out. I was left alone with my sobbing sister and a table full of fake documents. The aftermath was brutal. Mia didn't speak to me for a week. She blamed me for ruining her life. She said I should have just let him have the money, that I could afford it. Then the debts came to light. I sat down with her and a lawyer. We went through the boxes of letters she'd been afraid to open. Derek had taken out credit cards in her name. He'd refinanced her car without telling her. He had drained their kids' savings accounts. He hadn't just tried to sell my house. He had been cannibalizing his own family for years to feed a gambling addiction none of us knew about. When Mia saw the withdrawal from the kids' college fund, $12,000 gone, spent at an online sports book, she finally stopped crying for him and started crying for herself. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I really didn't know." "I know," I said. "That's why I did it this way. You needed to see him sign. You needed to see him choose the money over the truth." Derek is currently serving a 5-year sentence. The fraud charge stuck, but the forgery of government documents is what really nailed him. I sold the new truck. He'd put it in my name on the insurance forms, hoping to hide it from his creditors, which ironically made it easy for me to seize and use the money to pay back some of what he stole from Mia. The cabin is still mine. I spent last weekend there, finally putting up that "no trespassing" sign. My parents are still processing. My dad apologized to me, once awkwardly, for saying I needed to take more risks. "You were right," he grunted. "Quiet money is better." "It's not about the money, Dad," I told him. "It's about knowing what you own, and knowing who you can trust." I kept the pen Derek used to sign the fake deed. It sits on my desk. A little reminder that sometimes the best way to win a fight isn't to throw a punch. It's to hand your opponent a shovel and wait.